Hello everyone, Rosemarie Neumayer here and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a crochet video, in case this didn't give it away. We're going to be making my free pattern on my website called Teeny Tiny Baby Octopus Pattern. This is just a black and white printout. And because I thought this would be a good thing for learning to read a pattern if you're not the best at that, and also just it's kind of fun to sit with somebody and crochet, right? Best thing about this being a video, you can do this anytime you want to if you just want to sit and crochet with me. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. I've got my cotton yarn here because that's what I like to use for my stuffed animals. Use whatever of course you want and whatever hook you want. I've got a 3.5 millimeter inline. Inline I find is just because it has the even and the point here is just a little bit better for stuffy making, because stuffy making your stitches have to be tight to keep the fluff on the inside. I'm going to be making this up as a keychain because keychains are very popular and it's nice to have a keychain. So there's the pattern starts off, it has the abbreviations that I've written out there, and then you launch into the body of it. It's just literally, it's a ball and then the little tentacles coming off of it. So I'm a old school hooker. Okay, maybe that came out wrong. Crocheter. I self-taught almost 20 years ago now. So anyway, but I learned to knit first. So I've actually been using Bernat Handicrafter cotton yarn for 30 odd years. Yeah, 30 years. Because that's just what I started using for dishcloths actually at the time, because that was very popular then. And I just decided that if I'm going to be making these stuffed animals, I want them to last. I want a nice soft fiber that I can use to make it. And why not that cotton I love? Side note, I know a lot of people like to use wool. I'm crazy allergic to wool, so you'll never see wool in my house. And alpaca, well, wonderful, is really, really, really expensive. And I want something that's kid-friendly, washable, durable. My original sad little lumpy stuffies still going strong. So anyway, let's jump into it. Put the brace on here for me, because, if you've seen my video on hyperextension, you know that this finger does not like to play nice. So for a keychain, what I like to do is start with a long tail. This is what I was saying about the old school thing. I like to make a slip knot and chain 2. Now, if you're a magic ring person, go ahead, make your magic ring. Nothing against it. Other than when I'm making a keychain, this chain 2 actually uses less yarn than a magic ring, I find. And I don't see a difference in terms of making it up. So that's my first instruction here. Make a slip knot and then chain 2 and put 6 single crochet in the second stitch from the hook. So that's what we're going to do here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you are someone who does the magic ring, you would just put your 6 stitches into your magic ring. And as you can see, hey, yeah, it slides. So then all you do is you just pull it tight, right? Itchy nose. You just pull it tight and put a little knot at the back here to keep the stitches from sliding around. Even if you're doing a magic ring, by the way, you should still do this final step just to help prevent it from coming out, because I'm paranoid that way, because if something's going to happen, it'll happen to me. It's something horrible. Anyway, so next round 2, is you're going to increase all around, so that's 12 stitches. So 1, 2, 1, 2. That's what an increase is. 2 stitches into 1. 1, 2, and oh, I forgot to put my stitch marker, which I'm going to do because I'm talking through this thing, so that makes a little more sense, yeah? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And yeah, a lot of the times I will actually just count for these little bits, like instead of using a stitch marker. So that's, because it kind of saves a step. But I'm like, for this, I actually want you all to see when to put in a stitch marker, because that's helpful. Um, you know, people like to put them in at the beginning or at the end of their rows. And I'm personally, I like to put them in the beginning because that's how my brain works. So round 3 is 1 single crochet increase. And so by the time you're all done, you're going to have 18 stitches all the way around. This, by the way, is the very first pattern I ever typed up. So it's a little rough around the edges compared to some of the patterns I type up now. I'm in the middle of editing my pattern book still. That's coming along, but it's a big project. There's over 60 patterns. Should I let that slip? Anyway, so it's a really big project. But I've actually decided that I'm going to, and I'm working on one right now, I'm preparing it for everyone to sell as a PDF on my Ko-fi, because just getting that typed up and tested and everything like that, because I figure, it would be good to have just individual patterns, because I make these things all the time. I get bored, so I'll have an idea and I'll have to make something new, or I'll get asked, hey, do you make, and I'll be like, what? No, I don't. Oh, but I can. So that's how my axolot came to be, actually. I got asked for one. Okay, so I'm running out of the yarn end here of the lime color, which is called hot green. But anyway, throwing that in, we're going to switch to this nice yellow. And just do a color change. And of course, what you're seeing is the back of the work. Now, when I do a color change, same thing, because the thing with a stuffed animal when you're making it is all your work is hidden on the inside. So I like to knot off the color changes behind, and I'll also carry a little bit of yarn like that. Now, of course, you're seeing the back of it, but anyway, because this isn't more for you to see, it's just more to have companionship while doing this. But you can also maybe pick up a thing or two that you might not have known from before. Right? That doesn't hurt. And really, this is just me talking to myself here, so who knows if anyone's gonna like this. Okay, so the next instruction here is for round 4 to round 6. So that's 4, 5, and 6. You're going to be doing single crochet around, and that's it. So we're doing 3 rounds of just single crochet. And so we'll start our first round here. And now once the first round is done, the original pattern doesn't have the keychain instructions into it. So once the first round is done, I like to stop and put in the keychain. So we'll do that, which is just a simple ball and chain clasp thing. That's all it is. So you don't have to fuss too much with that. They're very useful. You can put them on backpacks, take your little emotional support Stuffie with you. Like, this is my emotional support octopus. Thank you very much. I like to keep one on my purse. It's just a thing. I like to give them away to people if I see someone's having a bad day and could use a pick-me-up, or get talking about it. Like, oh yeah, I make these. And I'm like, oh, that's so cute. Well, thank you. Here you go. You can have it. Anyway, I'm an artist. We like our egos to be flattered. Okay, so there we go. My little ball and clasp thingy. And just pull that. Whenever you're pulling out your hook from your yarn, you just want to pull that looser, like your last stitch, so that it doesn't drop out. And so we're just going to, okay, so how I do it, okay, so if you see here, there's the spaces here. This is the starting chain, right? That's that 6. And then so the spaces here between it, that's where we're bringing up the keychain. So we're gonna, yeah, just like that. Okay. Push it in. Pull the sucker up. And so like that. And then over to the other side. By the way, I'm going to apologize in advance in case the little dog barks, because it's been one of those days. I swear he thinks he's larger than life until he meets somebody bigger than him, and then he's very aware of how tiny he is. He's only 10.5 pounds, or 10.3. I think it's 10.3. So he's not very big. Okay, this one's being tricky. There we go. Got it through. So that's through on the inside. So I'll just clasp it, and then I'm gonna pull it around to the front here, which, because you want to make sure that the clasp is at the more towards the top there. Not the full top, because then that makes it more liable to break. But anyway, so then see that long string we were talking about there, the long tail? We're going to take that and just knot it around the keychain. I don't do this for all my keychains because it's not possible for all of them, but it is possible for the ones that are like this, where the keychain is buried in the actual Stuffie in the design. So again, just that extra layer of security I like adding in, because I don't like the keychain to fall off. So if I can knot it in while making, yeah, I absolutely will, because then it lasts and the kids have it, right? Because yeah, I've been that kid. Oh, I love this so much, and then it just falls off and disappears, and totally bummed out. Okay, so now we can go back to that's in there. Just, be mindful of it as if you're working around, and we're going to go back to doing our rounds. And yeah, this little video was actually partially inspired by the fact that crochet is a very usually single thing where we're just doing it on our own, and that there's not a lot of interaction, right? And so it's nice some every now and then to just kind of sit with somebody and crochet. So I thought that would be kind of a fun thing for this, but also it was also inspired by mirroring, which is a task completion method. So you can, like people with autism and ADHD and stuff like that, they tend to find that's helpful to help them get the task completed. It's one of those things that either works for you or doesn't. Personally, I'm the type that's like, no, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it on my own. But I'm fiercely independent, so that's just who I am. And yeah, a lot of you are going to be using that blanket weighted Chanel-y stuff. That's fine. You do you. And I'll just be over here doing me. Because, I mean, it's polyester. Is it going to last, a lifetime? No, but that's your choice, right? It's also going to give you a completed octopus that's almost twice the size of this one. So, because it's a lot bigger. And I get the appeal too, because you can sit and do the same amount of work and end up with a stuffed animal twice as big. Personally, though, I just can't stand the texture. Ooh, sets my teeth on edge. And some of you are going, is she, no, I'm not autistic, and no, I'm not ADHD or ADD. But I am a head trauma patient. So I have a very clear before and after for my first concussion. I've had a total of 6, actually. Those are the whole other story. So with having, I have something called prolonged post-concussion syndrome, where basically the last concussion, I never shook it completely, which honestly, that had happened a couple of concussions ago. But anyway, it just got worse with each and every one. So what ends up happening is the brain can only respond in so many ways. So I have a lot of overlap. There's a lot of overlap with head trauma and autism and ADHD and ADD. So, okay, so we go. That's our first little bitty there. We've got the 3 rounds done. And so now we're just going to start decreasing. So this is round 7, which says 1 single crochet decrease. And in brackets there 12, because 12 stitches is what you're going to have at the end. So 1 single crochet, put your little stitch marker in, and decrease. Oh, here, I'll show you what I'm doing for a decrease. See, this is called a blind decrease. you're just using the front loops, and you crochet those 2 front loops together, because it's a lot less noticeable when you're making up your stuffy, and like when it's all done, and you want it to be a lot less noticeable when you're dealing with a stuffed animal. You'll also notice too, like my tension is really tight, and that's to keep all the fluff on the inside, because that's the thing with stuffed animal making. You know, recommended hooks are just that, recommended. They may be the right size for your tension, they may not. Feel no need whatsoever to use the hook that's required by the yarn or by the book or whatever, right? Whatever you need to get something that looks like that, where you have all those tight, 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 tight little stitches with hardly any spaces between, because that's what's required. That's also one of the things I love, for the record, about cotton, is it doesn't stretch like, say, acrylic. Because I have made, early on, I tried, just because acrylic does come with a lot better color selection, for the most part. Although I've recently discovered Estelle Sudd's cotton yarn, which is similar to this, but not the same. Has a much more, they machine it much finer. So even though it's the same weight and everything like that, it doesn't pop apart, like split, like this, the Burnett Handicrafter, the Lily Sugars and Cream, Loops and Threads, all that stuff kind of does, because those are all the same, basically. I'm really, honestly, I'm pretty sure Loops and Threads, even though it's not Michael's in-house brand, I'm pretty sure it's made in the same factory, because, I mean, put it this way, when I put the stuff in with my regular yarn stash, you cannot tell the difference other than the label. So, like, even the colors are the same colors. They just give them different names. Oh, okay. So we're done that one now, and I just absent-mindedly put a random stitch, so I'm just going to take that out. And the next is to decrease all, and that's round 8 for our body. So we're just going to start that off. 1, and 2, 3, and now, because this is a smaller one, and as you can see, I don't have little fingers. Like, I'm tall, so I have, you know, size appropriate hands, which means I have larger hands than most women. So I'm just gonna grab some stuffing. So I'm just gonna pause here at the 3rd decrease, just to do a little stuffing of the stuffy, because it's going to get tight, and I just, you know, in there, and this hole gets smaller as you go along. Now you can also use like a pencil or something like that. An unsharpened pencil is great for stuffing. When I'm doing micro crochet, which is when I'm using crochet thread, I will literally use the end of the scissors to do the stuffing. It works, trust me, it works. Okay. Now micro crochet is hard on the eyes though, so I don't do too much of it. I just tend to do like these little guys, you know, something that I'm very familiar with. I actually just realized like a couple days ago that I've been pattern writing. Like, this is my 10th year of pattern writing. I was just like, oh my gosh, I hadn't realized that it'd come along like that. So yeah, so I'm really excited to get that PDF ready for sale on my Ko-fi page, because it's, I'll do a video on that when it's ready, and show off the stuffy that you can make, because that's exciting. I've had people ask me for my patterns before, and that's actually what got me interested in doing a pattern book in the first place. I prefer a book, always have, always will, but that's just because my brain doesn't work well with digital, which is also another reason why this is printed out. Feel free to do the same, by the way. Pop up to the website. You can print off my website there, which is just my name.com, so rosemarieneumayer.com. My freebies page has this and some other little patterns for you that I've decided to put up for free. But this one, like, it's just, I have them all done like recipe cards. So you can just save it and, you know, use it, no problem. And then if you want to print it off, go ahead and do that too, right? I just find it so much easier to read these things when they're real. I have such a hard time reading digital, especially for crafting. So, and like creating and making things. Like if I'm just reading like a newspaper article, okay, not so bad. So this is done. So we're gonna just finish this off now. So I did all my decreases. And I'll slip that off. Pull that out. Try not to throw it across the room. The cats love that. I just have a little bag here, and I just keep like my darning needle in it and leftover crochet thread. So to finish off, so you've cut your yarn, you pull the thing tight. What I find a lot of the times what I'll do is just go through the, like here in the front loops, and gather them all up, going back and forth with running stitch between the front loops. But for this one, I kind of like whip stitch, which is the traditional method of closing up a stuffed animal, because it gives you a, just whip stitching the two together, each side together, because it gives you this marker for where you're going to be putting the octopus tentacles, which I think is a good thing. So it's nice to have a visual. And then so I've done that, and then just going to pass that through again and out the other side of the top here. Ta-da! Okay, and then I'm going to use another color. We're going to use purple, this dark purple here, which I think will be fun for the tentacles. So the legs, again, just I use a longer slip knot because this is going to be, this one slides. I don't put the knot in it because it's a shifty one. You'll see what I'm doing. So anyway, so we chain 1, 2, and then in the second one from the hook, we're going to, it says here, leave long tail for this one, chain 2, slip stitch to second, chain stitch from hook, chain 6, and that's what you do. So the first thing you do into that chain, the second one from the hook, is a slip stitch. Again, if you want to make a magic ring and just do your slip stitch chain 6s into your magic ring, it'll work out the same. And then so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we do this 8 times. So you slip stitch again, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and these are going to be the little tentacles. So yay. It's kind of funny how octopus patterns have just like exploded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I mean, I wrote this pattern, oh gosh, 8 years ago. I actually looked up the date before I started doing this. I was like, oh, really? That long ago? Oh my. You know, time flies when you're making cute things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's a 6. Okay. So the, but there's been lots of different little octopus things made and stuff. It's well, octopus are amazing, like octopi, you know, amazing creature. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very highly intelligent and sentient and just amazing. So I've always found them fascinating. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Unlike their jellyfish counterparts, which, you know, no brain cells, I think qualifies there. But yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Although jellyfish are pretty to look at, but they're not, I don't know, there's just something about an octopus. You can see that intelligence in the eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And okay. Do I actually have that here? Oh, okay. So that's something I neglected to do all those years ago. Well, not 8 years ago, but I printed it up. Anyway, this is final slip stitch into there to secure your leg. I'll put that correction on the website just. And then you want to pull your thing tight. Put the knot in the back. Because now once you've got all your stitches, you can snug it up. And then you want some sewing thread here. This does have a little bit of sewing to it. For the record, I did actually make, well, and I've got a video showing off the size difference between yarns with actually this pattern because I love, like I said, love it. And it's a great little one to make up quite quickly, does what it needs to do. But yeah, so I did that and showing off the different size yarns. And I had a friend who gave me some of the Chanel-y stuff because I just, anyway, like I said, I have a hard time with it. I wasn't going to buy any, but I did want to make up a little octopus just to be able to show everybody. And I've also made up one of my larger ones for my pattern book to show as well that, you know, if you're going to be using that yarn, it's twice as, this just gets sewn onto the bottom, by the way, so your keychain hangs out here. And I just wanted to make sure that people could see the size difference. Because it is quite massive, actually, the size difference between the two. So just sewing this to the bottom of that ball, going around all the feet there, just around the center bit here. And yeah, so it just, I wanted to do that. So a friend gave me some of yarn ends that she had of it, and I used that to make up the little octopus. And I gotta say, you know, I've been doing this for almost 2 decades now, crochet, and it was hard. Like, I really understand why people are like, I hate sewing, because if you're using that Chanel-y stuff, yeah, it's hard to sew. It's also really hard to do a starting point. Like, I tried doing a slip knot, chain 2, and that wasn't working, so I actually had to do a magic ring, which took me years to learn. Actually, the only person who ever managed to teach me properly was Hooked by Robin. Robin from Hooked by Robin. Her video on how to make a magic ring was fantastic, and I actually understood it. So yay, thank you, Robin. And by the way, yeah, awesome videos there. Totally give her a follow and watch them, learn. So yeah, I tried that, and it was still a mess and sliding all over the place. So I just was like, okay, I just made it as tight as possible and tried putting a knot in that stuff, and it just kind of it's all over the place, and you end up wearing it. And, oh, anyway, so I could go on forever about how much I hated this experience, not just the texture, but the actual making. So I won't. Okay, so now I finished sewing that on. So then I just bring it out to where I finished the top, right? And passed it through. And so same thing I always do. Again, you're gonna do a knot. And I'm losing daylight. Hey, can you tell the sun's setting? Okay, there we go. 1, and then 2. Hopefully we'll get through this video without being too dark. And then you just take your darning needle and start tucking those in. Yeah, that's it. Just tuck your ends in. And that just becomes more stuffing. Yarn ends are free stuffing. And if you ever have like a lot of, like, keep your yarn ends because they're so useful. You can use them to put added weight in a stuffy should you want it to be a little heavier. I just keep my yarn ends, by the way, in a little Ziploc bag because, and then I can keep that in my project bag so that I always have it. And then it's also great if you're doing like a doll or a stuffy that has a thin neck. You can put the yarn ends in the neck, and that'll make it stable. Yeah. Okay, so just tuck in this last one from the top of the legs, or tentacles, I should say, really. This is an octopus. Okay, so that's that done. Okay, so we've made our octopus together. Yay! And now for the face. And I do, of course, if you were going to put doll eyes into this thing, you would have done that before sewing it up. I like to use crochet thread size 10, but only because I make so many of these. Like I'm always making stuffies. It's an obsession. So you can use embroidery floss as well if you don't think you're gonna get crazy like me. Because if you're gonna buy, okay. Yeah, so then the center here of the chain threes, or of the, not chain threes, of the, you know, 3 rounds, you just want to make your eye, and that's it. All this is, for the record, if you want to sew on your eyes, you're just literally doing whip stitches around your stitch. That's it. That's all it is. It's a little bit more work, but you don't have any plastic to break off because yes, it can and will break off. Doll eyes are called safety eyes every now and then, and really that's such a misleading term. They're not, especially the ones that we get in crafting, because they're not as strong as the commercial ones that get put in by machine. So because of course they get put in by hand, so they're a lot more likely to break, which of course creates choking hazards and other things like that. So I always sew everything. Not that I would give this to a child under the age of 3, by the way. So, you know, okay, so there's the one eye, and then I just come out here, and then I'm just gonna make a little mouth, a little V. You know, tiny thing like this is not suitable at all. You would not give that to a small child. And then there, and into the next over here. So, yep. And then back over to here for the eye. See? Little mouth, because I like them to have a little mouth. And yeah, so, but this is why I like to do this. The other reason too why I really enjoy whip stitching on the face is it gives each and every single stuffie I make a different look, because each face is different and each eyes play the, even if I'm following a pattern where I've said put the eyes here, it's still different because each eye makes up slightly different. Sometimes they're a little wonky, something, you know, which is charming, and I just prefer it. That's me. That's how I've always done them. I just, yeah, and I'm always worried about choking hazards, like choking, because seriously, I almost didn't have an uncle because of that, and I wouldn't have known him because he would have died. Incident with a marble, and my grandmother at the time picks up the young lad and shakes him by his feet, and the marble rolls out, which turns out you're actually supposed to do for kids, young things like that. It can work depending on what it is. So, and again, just knotting it off once, twice, taking that darning needle. And if you're going to buy needles, buy metal. Don't waste your time on plastic. They just break. Okay. So, because when you're dealing with stuffies, you've got harder yarn and things like that. So, yeah. Okay. And then we're going to put some white highlight for the eyes, and then we'll be done here. And then that's good because, yeah, things are getting a little darker. Oh, gosh. Okay. I thought I would be able to beat this, but this is a lot harder. Like, this takes me 20 minutes, and this takes a lot longer to do. So, again, I just start up someplace else. And because I like to put a little highlight into the eye. So I think it just, with a little strand of white, I just think it just gives it a little more character. But yeah, talking my way through this definitely takes a lot longer. Okay, and then over to the next side. But yeah, don't poke yourself with a needle like I just did. It's bad. Thankfully I didn't, yeah, no blood. I'm not always the best of sewers. Sometimes I can be a little clumsy. My coordination is not always the greatest. Thank you, head injury. Okay, there we go. Those are in place, and say deal. Set that aside. We're gonna tuck that in. Well, not knots first, right? You want to make sure that they're not coming off. And then that double knot just gets tucked right into our little stuffy. And then, come on, you little devil. And I'll just fix the stitch a little there. I got a little wonky. And there, look at that. All done. There you go. You've just made a teeny tiny baby octopus. And look at how cute it is. Even in the darkness, this is still adorable. So thanks for hanging out with me today and doing a little crochet. So, and the nice thing about this, you can do this anytime you want. That's the beauty of a video, right? So this video is here for you. So thanks very much, and have a good day. And I'll have my website in the description, provided YouTube will let me. I'm still learning a lot here, so but yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed this, and I wish YouTube would let you put pictures in your comments, because then I'd love to see the ones you make. But anyway, you could always do it as a post, actually, if you really wanted to show me, and you could just tag me in it, like, hey, I made one. Okay, that might be a bit too much work for everybody, but still, like I said, I'd love to see. So anyway, so yeah, that's it. And thanks for watching. Have yourself a great day now. Take care. Bye.